You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 35. Wu Yong recommends Dai Zong. Song Jiang meets Li Jun on Jiang Mountain. Old Song put a ladder against the wall, and looking over saw about 100 men in the light of torches. In front of them were the two inspectors, who had been recently appointed at Yunqing County. They were brothers, called Zhao Ning and Zhao Da, and they called out, "Old Song. You will know our business, and we hope that you will surrender your son Song Jiang. We will treat him well. If he does not surrender, we shall have to arrest you, his father." "When did Song Jiang return?" asked Old Song. "Do not talk nonsense," said Inspector Zhao Ning. "A man saw him this afternoon at Jiang's wine shop, and followed him here. You need not try to hide him." Song Jiang was standing at the foot of the ladder, and said, "Father, do not talk with them any further. I will surrender as I have many friends at the Yamen, and I have already been pardoned. Why plead with these fellows? They are both well known to be rascals. They have suddenly been made inspectors, but what do they know about reason? There is no good feeling between them and me, so it is a waste of time to talk with them. I have brought you trouble," said Old Song to his son. "Do not let that upset you. If they go into my case, it cannot do any harm. If I escape now, I should be arrested eventually, and should have no further chance of seeing you. If I am now arrested, and even banished to some other district, I shall at least eventually return, and meet you again. I should be able to be with you at your last moments. As you look upon it like this," said Old Song, "I will myself bribe the officials concerned, and see that you have every advantage." Song Jiang now mounted the ladder, and called out, "Do not make such a noise. My crime has been pardoned so that I cannot be executed. Will you two inspectors come inside our humble farmhouse, and drink wine with me? Tomorrow I will go with you to the Yamen." "You need not attempt to entice us into your trap," said Inspector Zhao Ning. "Why should I implicate my father and brother by such a trick? You can come inside without any suspicion," said Song Jiang. He then descended the ladder, opened the farmyard gate, and invited the two inspectors indoors. They were entertained to wine, chicken, and goose. The soldiers were provided with food, and also money. Old Song presented the two inspectors with 20 taels of silver. That night they all slept at the farmhouse. At dawn the following day the party started out for the town. When they reached the Yamen, it was broad daylight, and the magistrate occupied the bench. He asked Song Jiang to state his case, and listened to the following statement. "I did a great wrong to take Yen Poxy as my concubine, and once we quarreled after taking too much wine, and I happened to kill her quite unintentionally. I escaped but have now surrendered for justice, and will confess the crime as stated." The magistrate ordered that the prisoner be detained in the jail. All the Yamen employees were sorry to see Song Jiang as a prisoner. Many of them spoke to the magistrate of the good things Song Jiang had done in the past, and begged him to show mercy to the prisoner. The magistrate was inclined to be lenient, and he gave orders that the prisoner should have no kang or be chained up in the prison. Old Song bribed all the officials concerned. Madame Yen had died about 6 months ago, so that there was now no one to press the accusation of murder. As Yen Poxy was also dead, her old lover Zhang Wenyuan had now no enmity against Song Jiang. So after 60 days the case was referred to Jizhou Prefecture for a sentence. The prefect considered the case as reported by dispatch, and in view of the emperor's decree he passed a light sentence. Song Jiang was to receive 20 blows with a bamboo, be branded, and transferred to a prison at Jiangzhou. But as the officials at Jizhou had all been bribed, they reported that the sentence had been carried out, although nothing was done to Song Jiang. But he was given a small kang, and sent to Jiangzhou under the escort of 2 men, Zhang Qian and Li Wan. Old Song and his son Song Qing were waiting outside the Yamen for the escort, and invited them to take a final meal at an inn there. Money was presented to the escort, and Song Jiang was given new clothes, new hempen shoes, and a bundle of useful articles. Old Song took Song Jiang to one side, and there said to him, "I know that at Jiangzhou there is plenty of rice and fish, and I will bribe the officials there to supply you with food. I shall send your brother there with money, and he will see you often. On your way you will pass close to Liangshan Marsh, but if the brigands there capture you I hope that you will not join them, as people would abuse your name, and say that you were both disloyal and unfilial. This point you must not forget. Make no haste on the way. Heaven will watch over you, and you will soon return home, and be reunited to your father and younger brother. Song Jiang was much affected and burst into tears, and thus took leave of his father. Song Qing accompanied him for the first stage of the road. When they separated at last, Song Jiang said to his brother, I am now a prisoner, and while I am away I want you to look after our father, and never mind coming to Jiangzhou to see me. I know a great many bandits, and they will help me. I can easily get all the money I want. If heaven takes pity, I shall return home some day. When they took leave of each other, Song Qing wept bitterly. He returned home, and looked after his father in accordance with Song Jiang's wish. The escort and Song Jiang continued their journey, and because Song Jiang had given them plenty of money, they treated him well. One evening when they were at an inn, Song Jiang said, I will not deceive you. We shall pass quite close to Liangshan Marsh, where there are many brave men, and when they hear that I am passing they will perhaps try to liberate me. So tomorrow it would be better for us to start early, and travel by small side roads even though they take us a little out of our way. Sir, if you do not tell us we should not know it. But we know the side roads, and shall not meet those men. They discussed their plans, and the next morning they got up about 4 a.m. After breakfast they set out, and went by a side road. They had traveled about 10 li when they saw a company of men coming round a mountain just in front. Song Jiang said it meant trouble, as he recognized among them Tang, the red-haired demon. The escort was afraid, and knelt down. Younger brother, said Song Jiang, whom do you want to kill? Elder brother, replied Tang, had we not better kill those two fellows at once? You need not soil your hands in that way, said Song Jiang. Give me your sword, and I will kill them myself. Tang handed him the sword, and Song Jiang then asked, why do you wish to kill them? I am acting according to the orders of our chief on the mountain, who knew all about your case. We wanted to go to Yunqing County and rescue you from prison, but we then heard that you were not in prison, and were being well treated. Afterwards we heard that you were to be escorted to Jiangzhou, so we guarded all the roads, so that we could take you to our mountain. Why not kill these two men? This is the way you will disgrace me, as I shall thereby lose my reputation of loyalty. I would much rather die myself than suffer disgrace. So saying he took the sword to cut his own throat. Tang sprang forward, and caught him by the arm saying, Elder brother, do not be hasty. Let us discuss matters. He took the sword from Song Jiang, who said, Younger brother, if you respect me please let me go to the prison at Jiangzhou, and when I have served my sentence I will certainly visit you and discuss matters with you. I cannot take the responsibility for such a course, said Tang. On the main road there are Wu Yong and Huarong whom I will ask to come here to decide this matter. I am quite determined whatever you do. One of the brigands was dispatched, and in a short time Wu Yong and Huarong came galloping up. They both dismounted, and after the usual salutations Huarong asked, Why has your Kang not been removed? That is a legal procedure with prisoners. Who would dare to infringe the regulations? Asked Song Jiang. Wu Yong laughed and said, I understand your idea. It is easy for us to let you proceed on your way, but our chief Chao Gai has not met you for a long time, and he would like to have a confidential talk with you. So I request you to come with us up the mountain, and after the interview you can go your own way. You have grasped my idea, said Song Jiang. In case however I die I hope that you will not punish my escort. I want them to be at ease. Sir, we depend on you saving our lives, said the two men. They all then set out, and soon came to the lake where they found a boat waiting for them. They crossed the lake, and found sedan chairs waiting, and were carried up the mountain. Men were sent in all directions to summon all the leaders to the assembly hall for a conference. When they had assembled, Song Jiang was conducted to the hall, where Chao Gai addressed him. Formerly you saved our lives at Yunqing County, and we escaped to this place, and we have been thinking of your generosity ever since. Since we arrived here, many gallant heroes have joined us on your esteemed recommendation. This has added luster to our straw sheds, but we have had no opportunity of repaying your benevolence. Since I left you, said Song Jiang, I killed a bad woman, and escaped to the wilds where I have been wandering for about 6 months. I have often wished to come here to pay my respects to you, and on the way here I met a man named Shi Yong in a village inn who had a letter for me stating that my father had died. But it was my father's desire that I should not enter your band, and when I received the letter I at once returned home. As to my case, I was well treated by the officials, and was not punished severely. I was banished to Jiangzhou, which is not a bad place. When I heard of your orders I dare not decline to come here, and now that I have met you I cannot stay here, but must proceed on my way as the time limit is nearly up. Why be in such a hurry, said Chao Gai. Please take a seat. So they all sat down, and Song Jiang asked his escort to stand behind his chair. Chao Gai asked all the leaders to approach and salute Song Jiang, and after this they all took their seats. After they had been drinking wine for some time, Song Jiang at last arose and said, It is obvious that you regard me with respect, but as I am a criminal I cannot stay here, and must now take my leave of you. Why feel so estranged? Asked Chao Gai. As you do not wish your escort to be injured, we will give the men money, and they can then return, and report that we bandits at Liangshan Marsh have captured you, and so they will not be blamed. Do not talk like that, said Song Jiang. Such a procedure would not be to my credit, but would bring trouble. I must be filial, and respect my father's wishes, or otherwise he will be implicated. It was heaven's will that I should meet Shi Yong and return home. If now I stay here I shall be opposing heaven, and disobeying my father, and shall have a bad reputation. If you will not agree to let me depart, it would be better if you kill me at once. He then burst into tears, and knelt down on the ground. The leaders raised him up and said, As you are determined to go to Jiangzhou, we ask you to stay here for the night only, and early tomorrow morning you can depart. They wanted to take off his kang, but he would not let them do so. They all sat down to drink more wine. The following morning when he was preparing to leave, Wu Yong spoke to him, Please listen to me now. I have a very good friend at Jiangzhou, who is superintendent of the 2 prisons there. He is called Daizong. He knows Taoist magics, and can travel about 250 li in one day, so that people call him the divine traveler. He distributes wealth in good cause. Last night I wrote a letter to him which I am going to give you, and when you reach your destination you must make his acquaintance. Whatever happens you can make him your confidant. A feast had been prepared for Song Jiang, and the leaders also presented him with money. They also gave the escort 20 taels of silver. The leaders accompanied Song Jiang down the mountain. Wu Yong and Huarong crossed the lake, and went with him about 8 li along the road, before they bade him goodbye. Song Jiang and his escort continued on their way to Jiangzhou, and they had been traveling for about 2 weeks when they came to a place where there was a high mountain. The escort said that the mountain was called Jiang, and after crossing it they would come to the Xuanyang River where they could get a boat to take them for the remainder of the journey to Jiangzhou. As the weather is fine just now, said Song Jiang, let us now cross the mountain and find a place to rest on the other side. The escort agreed to this, and they all set out. It was almost noon when they reached the summit, and from there they saw an inn at the foot of the mountain. In front of the inn were several large trees, and many grass huts were around it. In the shade of the trees was a flag flying. Song Jiang was much pleased and said, We will stop at the inn for some refreshment, and then push on. When they reached the inn they all entered, and the escort put their sticks against the wall. They all sat down at a table with Song Jiang in the inferior seat. They waited for a long time, but nobody came to attend to their wants. So Song Jiang called out, Is there nobody in charge here? From an inner room a voice answered, Coming. Coming, and a very big man came out of a side room. He had a red complexion with bushy whiskers, and his eyes were bloodshot, and as fierce as a tiger's. On his head was a tattered turban, and his gown was without sleeves. Around his waist was a large cummerbund. He called out, "How much wine do you want?" "We are very hungry," said Song Jiang. "What kind of meat have you got?" "I have some beef and strong liquor." "That is fine. Bring us 2 jin of beef and a horn of wine," ordered Song Jiang. "Do not think me strange, but I make it a rule to have the money paid in advance with the order." "That is all right. I will pay you first. Wait a bit and I will get the money." Song Jiang opened his bundle and took out some money. The man stealthily looked at the bundle and saw that it was very heavy, at which he was much pleased as he knew there must be plenty of silver there. He took the silver from Song Jiang and went into another room, and soon returned with the beef and wine. The 3 men dined together, and their conversation was about the bandits abroad, who would sell drugged food and wine to travelers, and rob them of all their wealth, and make pies out of their flesh. One of them said he did not believe such tales. The proprietor of the inn heard this and laughingly said, "You had better be careful because this food and wine may be drugged." Song Jiang laughed and said, "So you are ridiculing us for talking about drugged food?" "Elder brother, a cup of warm wine would be much better," said one of the escort. "I will go and get some warmed wine for you." The man then went and soon returned with 3 cups of hot wine. The 3 guests were hungry, and when they saw the food and wine they only thought of eating and drinking same. They soon emptied their cups, and almost immediately the escort fell back with saliva running from their mouths. Upon seeing this, Song Jiang jumped up and said, "What is the matter with you two? Are you drunk after drinking only 2 cups of wine?" He stepped forward to raise them up, but he was also feeling faint and fell down. As they all lay there they all looked at each other, but not one of them could move or get up. The inn proprietor said, "I am sorry. For many days I have found no business, but today heaven has sent me these 3. He first seized Song Jiang and dragged him into a room at the back where he placed him on the block of wood where men were usually cut up. He then dragged the other 2 men to the same place. He also took their baggage and put it in another room, where he opened it and found the silver. He said, "I have kept this in for many years, but have never before seen a prisoner with so much money. What is the reason for this? It must be a gift from heaven for me." He then fastened up the baggage, and went to the door of the inn to look for his assistants. But although he glanced in all directions he could not see a single one anywhere. He however saw 3 travelers coming up the road towards the inn. He recognized them, and went forward to meet them. He asked, "Elder brothers, where are you going?" One of the tall men replied, "We are going up the mountain to meet a certain person, and he ought to be here today. We have been waiting for several days, and cannot understand what has delayed him." "Who is the man you are waiting for?" "He is a certain famous man." "What is his name?" "I think you know him. He is Song Jiang of Yunqing County, and is coming from Jizhou Prefecture." "I have heard of him, but what is he traveling this way for?" "I did not know before, but today a friend of mine has arrived from Jizhou, and he said that Song Jiang has been banished to the prison at Jiangzhou, but he did not know for what reason. I think he must come this way. I have often thought of going to Yunqing County to make his acquaintance, but as he is passing this way now I must meet him. That is why I come here today with my 2 friends. How has business been with you this last month?" "I will be frank with you," replied the inn proprietor. "During the last few months I have done no business, but today heaven has sent me 3 men with many things." "What kind of men?" hurriedly asked the man. 2 men escorting a prisoner." "Is the prisoner a little fat man with a dark complexion?" "He is not very tall, and has a swarthy complexion." "Have you killed him?" hurriedly asked the visitor. "I dragged him into the room, but have not cut him up as my assistants are absent." "Let me have a look at him." The 4 men went into the room, and there were the 3 men lying on the cutting up block. But they did not recognize Song Jiang, so the visitor said they would examine the baggage and read the official dispatch. When this had been done, the man reading the dispatch said, "Heaven has directed me to come here today. If I had been even a little late, my elder brother would have been cut up." He gave orders for an anti-drug to be administered to revive Song Jiang. This was quickly done, and he was carried into the other room and seated in a chair. Soon he opened his eyes and looked around. The visitor saluted him, and Song Jiang asked, "Who are you? Am I not still dreaming? What is this place? What is your name?" The visitor replied, "I am Li Jun of Luzhou, and I am captain of a boat that sails on the Yangtze River. I have a good knowledge of currents, etc., and so people call me the Muddy Water Dragon. This man is the innkeeper, and he robs travelers who come this way. His name is Li Li, and his nickname is Hell's Judge." They then explained how the event had happened, and Song Jiang told them all about his adventures. They pressed Song Jiang to stay there instead of going to prison, but again he stood firm and declined their offers. They administered restoratives to the escort, and they soon recovered. When they came round, they said, "We are very unlucky as we got drunk so easily." At this the others all laughed. That night they all slept at the inn. The next day they were invited to Li Jun's house, where they stayed for a few days. Then Song Jiang and his escort set out on their journey again. The three men traveled until about 11 a.m., when they came to a market town. The street was very crowded, and they saw a crowd forming a ring round some object. Song Jiang forced his way through the men, and saw in the ring a man with a stave who was selling medicine. He watched the man performing with his stick, and when that was finished, Song Jiang applauded his skill. The man took a tray and addressed the crowd, "I come from a distant place, for certain business. I am perhaps not well skilled in military arts, but I hope that you will praise me to your friends so that they will buy my drugs. If you want the medicine you can buy some now, but if you do not care for the medicine then please contribute a small amount of money, and not let my tray be quite empty." He passed the tray round the crowd, but nobody gave money. "I hope you gentlemen will be generous in assisting me." He again walked round with the tray, but nobody contributed even a copper. Song Jiang, seeing this, asked his escort to let him have 5 taels of silver, and offering it to the man said, "I am a criminal, and cannot give you much. This small amount will however indicate that I hold you in respect." The man held the money aloft on the palm of his hand, and said, "It is strange that in this town of Jiang town there is not one man who appreciates my skill. This benefactor in passing through the town however presents me with this money." In the words of the poet, men laughed at Jing Yuanhe, who lavishly spent his money. Such men are not always rich, or dressed in the best of clothes. This silver is equal to 10 times the amount from a wealthy man. I salute you, my benefactor, and request your name so that I can spread your fame abroad. "Sir, do not talk about it, as my gift is so trifling," said Song Jiang. While this was happening, a big man had pushed his way through the crowd, and he now said to Song Jiang, "What fellow are you? Where do you come from? How dare you come here, and try to cast our town in the shade by offering money?" He raised his fists to strike Song Jiang. Dragons now were stirred to fury. But they found their destiny.